Hello, 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 and welcome to the Altwork podcast, where we explore the new frontiers of work and challenge everything you thought you knew about your career, business, and the world of work. I'm Victoria Relas.
And I'm Saqib Rasool.
Yep, and today we'll be discussing going from breakdowns to breakthroughs, dealing with dissatisfactions powerfully at work. So I'll begin by sharing my thoughts that what I think inspired us to do this episode is that breakdowns happen all the time at work and in our personal life. And yet it seems like we are woefully ill-prepared to deal with them when they come. It seems like instead of preparing ourselves to deal with breakdowns powerfully, we try our best to avoid them happening. Like we put all of our effort into trying to make sure that a breakdown doesn't happen, even though it's going to happen. And instead of being prepared for it when it happens, we act like it's the end of the world and we don't know what to do. And it's like the first time ever that a breakdown is happening. So it's quite interesting, I think, this way of being that we have with breakdowns. So I thought that it would be a great time for us to talk about it in alt work, to share our alt perspective on maybe how to deal with breakdowns or how to think about them, that is more helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think, Saqib?
I think, Victoria, it might be good that we start by saying first, what do we mean by breakdowns? Often when people hear the word breakdown, they imagine like an emotional turmoil or emotionally broken down, or somebody's crying in tears. And so I think that let's say a little bit about what we mean by breakdown, right? Let me begin by sharing some thinking, and I want to hear your thoughts, right? So when we say breakdown, we simply mean a satisfaction expected but not delivered. Something you were expecting, some condition of satisfaction, some normal recurrence, or somebody made a promise, either implicit or explicit, that is not delivered to you. And now this is a dissatisfaction to you. So I like to think of breakdown as like a dissatisfaction happening at work. It may be like a momentary, some kind of an event that is occurring, or it may be like a stretched out breakdown, that there is a toxic work environment, there is a constant lack of listening or lack of care going on, and you're not getting the satisfaction from work that you expect to get. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And you are right. I think usually when people hear the term breakdown, they do think about it as like a emotional outburst all of a sudden that happens. And I like your definition of it much better.
And what happens? Yeah. What happens when some satisfaction is not delivered? When we are dissatisfied with something, the first place we do go to is the emotional turmoil. The emotional disposition, the psychological interpretations, they begin to show up. Those jerks, those all kinds of cuss words show up, blaming, justifying, cursing, all kinds of those kind of the first place that show up. And what happened is that we very much get stuck in those psychoprisons, in those psychological interpretations, that some satisfaction has not been delivered. And now this is what it is. This is what we're going to do. And if you let that fester for a long time, it turns into this resignation that not only we're not satisfied, but nothing is going to change. Yeah. And that resignation, it's like we create for ourselves a psychoprison. We lock the key and we throw the key away.
Yeah, nothing new can happen now.
Nothing new can happen. Yeah, and what is the consequence when we lock ourselves up in those psychoprisons? What is the danger there, huh?
Well, we don't ask for help. We think it's all up to us. We don't move forward. We just get stuck.
We just get stuck. Potentiality is wasted. Possibilities are wasted. Resentment starts to fester. It's no surprise today that the lack of capacity for dealing with breakdowns is leading to widespread resentment spread all over our workplaces. We keep smiley faces while keeping resentful that how dare that group, those jerks, those whatever cuss words are our favorite cuss words, those
Yeah.
jerks will violate me and do me wrong. And while as at the same time, those people are probably thinking about this group and these people and you, that how could we be violated with that? So resentment begin to fester. People
Yeah.
become really resigned. People start to see work as like a big burden. This
Yeah.
is the beginning of the nihilism, that work is just there. So it becomes slave labor. The worst thing happens that now you spend 6, 7, 8, 10 hours of your day, 5,
Yeah.
6 days a week. And for some people, it's all through the week. You immersed yourself in this psycho prison and you live in this psycho prison, you suffer silently.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think at some point, people become so resigned that they start like ignoring the breakdowns, right? They don't want to even acknowledge them anymore because they feel so helpless about it. They don't even like call it out. They don't declare a breakdown. They just like swipe it under the rug, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. And another thing to point though is that feel like going to this, like blaming other people, feeling helpless, it's okay to feel like this initially in the beginning of a breakdown. Like it's natural. It's not like I think some our customers are talking to us and they just like try to like jump it, be like, oh yeah, it happened, but it's okay, I'll just move on to trying to fix it. And they don't like actually authentically sit with it, like, no, I feel really bad about this. Right?
Like that's a perfectly fine place to start. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, now that I think about it, I think as long as you're a human being, try to disconnect from your emotions or not acknowledge the emotional impact, it doesn't help you, but rather it further traps you into acting like a machine where you try to go and resolve the breakdown and say, let's just throw some process at it, or let's just throw some formula at it, or let's go ahead and change the vendor or partners or employees or bosses, because you didn't take responsibility for the emotional impact that happens when some dissatisfaction arrives. And as a matter of fact, if you're not feeling good in some area of your work, career, business, or even family relationship in anywhere, then probably that not feeling good is a good alert to perturb you, to let you know that, hey, there is some dissatisfaction you want to take responsibility for.
Yeah.
And we can begin to take responsibility. So, and without making ourselves wrong for being emotional beings. Often in enterprises, corporations, startups, if somebody is emotional, say, oh, you're too sensitive, you're too emotional, and try to vilify, try to make wrong for people for having that emotional impact. I'm curious though, Victoria, how does that show up in your generation, for millennials, for Gen Z, for all the younger generations? Is this, you think, is the same way, or is it getting worse or getting better? What are your observations talking to your friends?
I think it's the same. I think it's like it's not a generational thing. I think as a whole mass, we are not well prepared or equipped to deal with breakdowns. And so I also do have friends that I can see will fall to resentment and don't know how to move forward. They just get stuck there.
Don't know how to move forward.
Yeah.
So let's talk about moving forward. What do
Yeah.
we do? Okay, now there is a dissatisfaction. There's something you expected that is not delivered. What do you do? If you don't do anything and stay stuck there, you're in a psycho prison.
Yep.
My friend Chauncey Bell says you're windbagging. You're essentially whining, you're oblivious, you're windbagging, and you're 100% stuck. So to move forward, the first step I propose is take full responsibility for the breakdown, is acknowledge that this is dissatisfying without assigning the blame. Oftentimes, the first instinct we have when some dissatisfaction arrives, that we want to assign the blame. We want to find out who's responsible, who's the guilty party. So we become this judge, jury, and executioner of the guilty parties. So I recommend that instead of trying to assign the blame and justifying and cursing and getting resentful and getting stuck, that the first step you take is take full responsibility for your dissatisfaction. At the end of the day, whatever has happened, but you are the one who's dissatisfied.
Right.
Seeing yourself as a victim of the breakdown, at the effect of the breakdown, that is not going to serve you. That's going to get you further stuck.
Yeah. A note about that is that something that I struggle with, because this is like a really important part, that when I see a breakdown at work sometimes, I assume that one of my other coworkers will call it out because it's like a shared breakdown. But taking ownership of my dissatisfaction in it is what is like important for me. If I don't own that, yeah, I am dissatisfied with it. Yeah, sure, other of my coworkers are dissatisfied with it, and they might be dissatisfied with it in different ways. But I am dissatisfied with it, and taking ownership for that, it requires some courage and confidence to be able to say that, because now you kind of have the expectation that someone's going to fight back with you, right? So
right, and this might be the first step to leadership. This is leadership, that you see something that's not working. You see something that is less than satisfying. You might even see that as a widespread resignation, like everybody knows that that's just the way things are.
Yeah.
Leader takes what everybody knows and says, no, 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 this is dissatisfying. This is not working. This is not going to continue that way. So the first step to taking responsibility is to declare the breakdown, declare your dissatisfaction. Say this, how it's going is not going to work. Actually comes to mind Howard Schultz in 2007, when Starbucks was having performance issues and they were losing revenue. They tried to roll out this new technology system, some kind of ERP system, and all the franchise owners, store owners, they had a big sort of resistance to it. So in New Orleans in 2007, they held a conference, and he started the speech by saying something like, so we are 90 days from bankruptcy. When he did that moment, he took full responsibility for the dissatisfaction. And by declaring a breakdown, he destroyed some old world in which everybody is stuck, everybody's complaining, no one is really happy, but people are unwilling to make a big shift. People are blaming each other. They're blaming the main corporation. They're blaming the customers. They're blaming the consumers. How many of us in business, when we begin to hit breakdowns, the first people we blame are our customers? Like those jerks, those, no, your customers are not the jerks. Or we blame our coworkers or leaders or the CEO. Often in a political situation too, when things are not working, the first place we go to blaming are our leaders. We always feel that it's going to be someone else's responsibility to declare the breakdown and do something. True leader is someone, real leader is someone who takes full responsibility for what's going on in a situation and says, hey, this situation is not working. What do you think happens once this declaration is made?
Okay, well, let me bring up a hesitancy that in a question that some people listening might have. Because when you say take full responsibility, what if it's not all your fault? Like,
right. I mean, that's exactly the game. You're playing in a psycho prison, right? If you're going to be trapped in a psycho prison, imagine if you were in some real prison and you had a lot of prison mates, you will invent all kind of games to play to keep each other occupied, complain about your jailers, complain about people that have put you in this prison, complain about the food quality, complain about the quality of your bed and everything. So what happens once people are in psycho prisons? They invent these games to play with each other. And you're talking about this game in which you try to assign the blame. Is it my fault? Is it their fault? Is it your fault? Is it, whose fault it is? My invitation is that don't spend any more time trying to figure out whose fault it is. Whose fault it is has to do with past. It's done. It is how it is. You did what you knew to do. Others did what they knew to do. And this is how the world has arrived. And you simply declare the breakdown. Maybe we need to say something about what do we mean by declaration. Declaration is kind of a speech action, like a language action, that once you declare, the world changes. And declaration is, imagine two man and woman getting married, and the priest says that I declare you husband and wife. The priest doesn't say, I feel like you're husband and wife, and I think that you're acting like husband and wife, therefore you might be husband and wife. No, that's not declaration. That's commentary on the situation. Declaration, when umpire or referee in the game says you're out, that changes the world. Declaration destroys the old world, completes the old world, and brings about a new world if you take your declaration seriously. Maybe some of us going around, there is another kind of a illness that's said about that we go around declaring, this is not working, this is not working, this is not working. This is the second place where people can get stuck, that they go around, either they get stuck in psycho prison, or one day you say, well, this is not working, this is not working, and don't take any further step. But that step must be taken if you want to create a space for taking action. If you want to create a space in which some new possibility can happen, you must declare that maybe this behavior of a colleague is unacceptable. You take the step to say, this is not going to fly. I'm not going to tolerate that. This is bullshit. This is not going to go on. Maybe your own behavior, maybe your own way of being is not working, or maybe it's no one else's fault, but how some practice has gone on for maybe hundreds of years, it's no longer working. I think that's one thing many women are doing very well these days, that how they have been treated for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years in this era, in this age. Many women are saying, that's not acceptable. That is not gonna work. That's declaration.
Okay. I think I got the declaration part, but my question is more about the taking full responsibility part. Why would I take full responsibility for something when maybe I think that, like, it's better if me and maybe another person together take responsibility for the breakdown, like both of us, no, not just me.
Yeah, I mean, responsibility spoken in this way is really a blame, that whose fault it is. Is it our shared fault? Is it your fault, my fault? I'm talking about not trying to figure out exactly where the blame line lies, right? If we start investigating history, it's all the way down, and you cannot figure it out, like who really messed it up, right? A leader is someone who doesn't wait for others to declare the breakdown, but takes responsibility for the future. This is not a conversation about the past, but this is a conversation about that how the current situation is not acceptable to me. It's not working for me. So in this conversation, taking full responsibility has to do that you singularly become the source of creating a new future. When you say this no longer works, or when the same husband and wife maybe say, I divorce you, that declaration of divorce is not like some kind of like commentary about the situation, that, hey, I feel like we're kind of like a divorced feeling like thing, and it's your fault or my fault. When somebody says, I will no longer be in business with you, you're fired from the job. When that articulation happened, that moment, the past is done. There is no more conversation about whose fault it was, whether I was a good boss or you were a good employee. If I say you're fired, that completes the future. So a leader takes full responsibility and goes to a new future by creating the declaration.
I got it. I got it. So when you declare a breakdown, you don't focus on what happened in the past, but instead focus on creating a new future.
You take absolutely, you take full responsibility for your satisfaction. Your satisfaction in the matter is no one else's responsibility. However, the situation is, whoever are the people that are involved, whatever is going on, external circumstances, internal circumstances, you cannot control the circumstances. The nature of life is that things will always change. Things will always indignify you. Things will always perturb you. Things will always bother you. If you're waiting for the circumstances to change, or if you're waiting for someone else to take responsibility, you are stuck in the psycho prison. If you find yourself saying, I'm waiting for some other people to take full responsibility, well, consider that you're stuck in a psycho prison. If you want to break this psycho prison, you have to declare that this is no longer an acceptable situation. And by declaring that I will no longer continue to do this or live in this indignity, that now I have a new future, that opens the space for something new to happen. But if you just get stuck there, Victoria, if you break the psycho prison and you just go around declaring breakdown, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this is not acceptable. You must have seen many people complain about their governments or complain about their companies. You get into another kind of a trap. You get into the trap that you are suffering like a hero. You have something we call heroic suffering. You're a hero who has declared the breakdown, but now that's it. Now you will suffer because this doesn't work. You're clear it doesn't work, and you get stuck right there. And you don't want to get trapped there. What you want to do now that you have declared the breakdown, now that you have declared this old world is done, it will no longer work for me, that now you begin to have conversations with your allies, with people involved, with people at the effect of it, with people that are stakeholders, your colleagues, your employees, your investors, your bosses, that you now begin to talk about what's possible. If that doesn't work, what is the thing that is possible? What do you think?
Yeah, but that's a difficult conversation, no? Like, what's possible? How do you have that conversation?
Well, you say, hey, this, let me declare a breakdown here, Victoria, with you. It's the LinkedIn marketing we have been doing doesn't work. It's done. It's finished. Let's talk about now, what else can we do? Not difficult conversation. It's basically an invitation to think about new future. If your mood is right, if your mood is not like, hey, they always violated us, hey, those jerks, those have violated me, and your mood isn't like, wow, this will never change. It doesn't work and it will never change. Not with that mood, but with the mood that that doesn't work. This is no longer working. I will not accept it. You break the psycho prison. You say, I no longer accept it. And you decline to be a hero that suffers. Okay. Now you can bring a new mood of curiosity. You can bring in new mood of anticipation. Your biggest currency as a human being that we have, Unger says, is imagination. Imagination is our biggest asset. But that imagination is not like sitting in your vacuum tube, sitting in a vacuum, sitting in your own little office or your desk and thinking very, 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 very hard about what you're going to imagine. The best kind of imagination happens when you are in conversations with those that are also affected. A real leader invites people to begin to think about new kind of a future, begin to think about, if that's not working, what else is possible? So let me ask you, right in this conversation, since we have taken it on, Victoria, I declare that our LinkedIn marketing is not working. So tell me now, what is possible? What else can we do? Let's think about a couple of possibilities.
Well, we can become new beginners. And I know that there is this course that a guy is teaching, and some of his students have become very popular on LinkedIn. So maybe there's something for us to learn there.
So there's a possibility of a course that the guy is teaching. Maybe I want to take a course that a gal is teaching, but that we can get into it. Or maybe we can maybe hire someone. We can hire someone who knows about this. What else can we do?
There's a lot of like platforms that are supposed to help you to make sure you do it on a specific time, on specific topics. We could explore those.
We can explore those. Very good. You see, not very difficult at all. Actually, thinking about possibilities could be quite a fun.
But it's easier when you do it in conversation with someone, not when you try to like think about it all by yourself and try to come up with like this amazing idea. So
that's right. That's right. Trying to come up with amazing ideas like a visionary is a business you should really resign yourself from. It doesn't work. The breakdown doesn't happen all to yourself, all by yourself. Breakdown only happens because we live this shared existence with others in which we commit to satisfy each other. If you join if you have a co-foundership with someone on a startup, or if you join some workspace, it's a shared space of responsibility for satisfaction. So your breakdown is always happening in relationship to someone else. Even if there's a circumstance that's coming from the outside that is beyond your control, maybe the political environment is changing, maybe the Earth's environment is changing, maybe some business environment is changing, maybe there's a new innovation that is changing everything. Whatever is going on that is blocking you, it's blocking you in relationship with other people. So exploration of possibility, it must be in communication, in conversations with other people. What do you think?
I think that's really important.
What's possible once you start talking to other people, Victoria? I'm curious.
Well, you can fix a breakdown. You can come up with an idea and try it.
Not so fast, right? Not so fast. First thing that can happen, you can possibly see something that you didn't see before. Trapped in psycho prison, you cannot have possibility. Trapped in the mood of heroic suffering, you cannot have possibility. Possibilities are closed. You can only have possibilities once you begin to talk about possibilities. Maybe this breakdown is that some workspace has toxic culture and it's beyond your control or beyond your realm of influence to do anything about it. And now maybe it's possible that you find a new job, or you bring this to the attention of the head of the company, or you maybe you write something about it in a serious way that invites people to discuss what else might be possible. And this space of possibility, it brings new enthusiasm. It brings new passion, new possibility. But here, I want to warn you, once again, you can get stuck. Once again, this psycho prison is not done. First, you get stuck in a psycho prison, then you get stuck in the prison of sorry, I just got a phone call and got distracted. So then you got stuck in a hero prison. There's a psycho prison, there's a hero prison, there's a third prison now you can get stuck in, which is a prison of possibility. If you're all talking about possibilities, you must have seen people in families, in couples, trapped with each other, or people trapped in bad jobs. Oh, one day I will do my own startup. One day, once I have learned all the skills, once I'm strong, one day, I will do a startup in AI. I will do a startup in blockchain. Oh, one day I would leave and I will get this great job. That's my vision. And if all what you're doing, and you go read a bunch of startup business models, and you read a bunch of books about relationships, and you're talking all the time about new possibilities, but now you're like a possibility prisoner. You have this mood of a dreamer.
Yeah.
Now you
Yeah.
are a professional dreamer. Your
Yeah.
job is to dream. You dream and dream and dream.
Yeah.
But now you go to another kind of a sleep.
Mm.
We cannot have that. We cannot
Yeah.
go to this kind of sleep. Dreamer, there is no action. So out of possibility, there is another kind of conversation that we invite that you have, that you begin to now have a kind of a conversation in which you make promises. You commit
You
to doing
commit, right?
something. You begin to take action. You begin to make requests of others. Request is another kind of a speech action that you can take. You can ask someone, hey, by the way, this is not working. I declare a breakdown. We've been talking about these possibilities. That's a good idea. So keeping up with our example, Victoria, would you please find out this guy that you think is LinkedIn expert? When is their course starting? Or if it's a self-serve course, would you please find out how much is it? And see if you can get our team registered in it?
Yeah, I can.
You can, or you will?
I will.
You will. That's a promise? Look, we're making a public promise here.
Okay, yes.
Yes,
I
very good.
promise. Yeah.
So this is a small example. Now that you're committed to do something, now you can have conversations in which new world can show up, in which you make commitments to each other. Maybe you make offers to each other. Maybe, Victoria, I offer to you that I will do some analysis of our current LinkedIn marketing, and I will write a small report. Would you like to see that report?
Yeah, I would.
So this can now show up as an offer, as a request, as a new kind of a commitment. Now you have conversations for action. Now the breakdown is properly dealt with.
Right. You know, initially when you said that someone could get stuck with possibilities, I was like, how can someone get stuck with possibilities? But then when you defined it as a dreamer, I totally got it, because that's like the perfect name. And I know a lot of people and maybe sometimes myself, I get stuck in the dreamer phase, in which we have lots of ideas, but we don't commit and move and actually do anything about them. So this last part is a really important part. And it's not just committing to doing everything yourself, like you said, it's also committing and making requests and offers, right? Making requests for someone to do something, or offering to help someone do something. So in that sense, like, I don't know, I feel like usually when people think that they're going to declare their breakdown, they have to do everything. Like, they have to take care of it fully by doing everything themselves, but that's not the case, right?
That's right. That's right. Actually, there is a kind of so once you begin to commit to action, you now have the breakthrough. Now you have gone from breakdown to a breakthrough. You refuse to be trapped in a psycho prison. You refuse to suffer like a hero, and you're done being a dreamer. Maybe you're a dreamer for a little while, but then you're done being a dreamer, and now you have entered into the field of action. Now you're taking action. Now you're action oriented. You're committed to do things. You're making promises. You're fulfilling promises. And while you commit and fulfill promises, maybe new breakdowns will show up. Maybe the breakdown won't be resolved. Maybe a new breakdown will show up. And what should you do if a new breakdown shows up while you're taking action?
Do the whole thing again.
Yeah, do the whole thing again. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you did this thing with your hand. It's like this kind of a circle that we go into, but it's not the same circle every single time. If a new breakdown shows up, and once again, there's an emotional impact. Good God, you did hard work. You declared the breakdown. You did the hard work of thinking about possibilities. You did the hard work of taking action, making a commitment, and moved action. And once again, breakdown shows up. What do you think? That's not going to have emotional impact? Oh
Yeah.
no, you're gonna feel like, oh wow, why is
Totally resigned.
totally resigned? LinkedIn marketing is so hard. Maybe LinkedIn doesn't like me, huh? So how can I get LinkedIn to like me? A new kind of a psychoprison shows up. But the more you repeat this process, the more breakthroughs begin to show up. The breakdown to breakthrough becomes like a second nature.
Right.
Breakdowns then got nothing on you.
Yeah.
Breakdowns show up and you become the kind of being where breakdowns show up to be turned into breakthroughs. And you know what's going to happen? Once you become this kind of a being, breakdowns are going to find you. People are going to bring their breakdowns to you because they know once they bring their breakdowns to you, you turn them into breakthroughs. You become like a walking, living transformer. Like that the Transformer movie, instead of a car, you get up and, okay, that's a little bit of a joke there. You become not that kind of transformer where the car turns into a walking robot, but rather you become the transformer where breakdowns got nothing in you, where you remind me this, there's a poem by Rumi. Rumi writes about, Rumi says, there's a boy who came to me who used to be scared to go out at night. Then Rumi is, of course, writing poetically here. This is a poetry. And Rumi says, a boy came to me who was scared to go out at nights. Then I cut a piece of my soul and draw for the boy a sword that can cut anything. From that day on, the boy will often go out at night looking for the monsters.
So this is like a superpower that you can cultivate.
This is a superpower that we have disclosed in this conversation here, in which you can take the breakdown, fine to have an emotional impact, fine to declare the breakdown and maybe even suffer like a hero for a little bit, fine to be a dreamer and think about possibilities. And then you move to the field of action. And now you become the boy who goes out at night looking for the monsters instead of being scared about the dark, instead of being scared.
Yeah, monsters have nothing on that boy.
Monsters have nothing on them. The monsters run from that boy, huh? And if they come, they get transformed into, I don't know, Beanie Babies or something. I've been watching this little series that's come out, the Beanie Bubble. I don't know if you've seen that or not. Okay, I want to give one warning.
Okay.
Many people, they are very good at declaring the breakdowns and going right to action. This is not working, and I'll take action. No conversations for possibilities. Talking wastes time. Let's just take action. Let's do it. We're not the talking kind of people. We're the doing kind of people. There is a disaster in it that even though you may be taking responsibility for the breakdown, you may be declaring the breakdown and going right to action, you may fall to another kind of a trap that we call hyperactivity. And hyperactivity is like an illness of the nervous system, that you're too quick to jump to action that can destroy any dream, any project, any career at any time. This is also going on in our enterprises because we have been teaching people to be action-oriented for some time, that there is no need to talk to people, talk to anybody about what needs to be done. I'm an action kind of a person, and all I need to do is get right to action and take the breakdown and take action by myself. That now you are once again heroically being hyperactive, and after you have run through this loop that you articulated with your hand signal, after a few times you're exhausted, you're done. Hyperactivity cannot deliver results. You may not see what was possible, but you did the first thing that came to your mind. You know, this kind of an illness, the illness of hyperactivity, is sometimes cherished in our cultures, in our families, in our corporations, in our startups, especially in the startup environment. You need to be do kind of a person.
Right.
That cannot result in success. 95% of the startups fail, and I believe great deal of failure has to do with this particular illness, where some very excited and motivated kind of people come up and they take quick action without ever having consulted with their colleagues, with their peers, without talking to customer. It reminds me of the startup philosopher Steve Blank out of Stanford, who talks about that don't just come up with an idea and start building it. He has this name for it. He calls it get out of building, goob. He says, get out of building. That is Steve Blank's way of inviting people to talk to customers, see where they are stuck, see what their challenges are, see what their breakdowns are, think together with them, wonder together with them, do something that Flores calls imaginative anticipation. You anticipate something, you imagine something, you talk about it, that what is the disaster if we did not take any action? What is the disaster if we did not deal with this breakdown? What is the disaster about our individual lives and our power together as a collective group if we took no responsibility in this game? That part is very necessary. So you don't want to be hyperactive and fall to this thing where you come up with an idea and you go right to action and you don't need to consult with anybody. You don't need to talk to anybody.
You don't need to listen to anybody.
You don't need to listen to anybody. Listening wastes time, talking wastes time.
Yeah, it's a waste of time. And I think this is Facebook's like internal motto, move fast and break stuff or something like that.
Well,
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I haven't heard it. Maybe it is, and I can't really speak authentically. I think that Facebook, from what little I have seen, Facebook has a culture where people stay in a lot of communication with each other. So maybe they have their own way of talking about possibilities and thinking together. But any enterprise that stop thinking about possibilities together and all they do is action, action, action. Sun Tzu said that is the Chinese philosopher of war said that is just a noise before defeat. You don't want to have just a noise before defeat. A genuine entrepreneur is someone who encounters a breakdown, experiences the emotional disposition, the emotional impact, experience negative emotions, anger, disgust, frustration. That's okay. That's human being. We start there. Actually, we have to start there. Then genuine entrepreneur is someone who takes responsibility and instead of waiting for others, declares the breakdown to say this world doesn't work, then invite others to think about possibility. Actually, recently, I've been perturbed by the whole topic of AI and coaching. And that I've recently organized series of talks and some very amazing people, Will Poole and Paul Moritz and Vijay from Microsoft, and many of the people have gathered to talk about it. So we're doing this conversation these days where we are thinking about possibilities about what AI can do in the field of coaching. We don't yet have a commitment to action. We're coming close, but this time, this space that we have created to think about possibilities, it's a very necessary part of dealing with the breakdown. After AI showed up, everybody's thinking, oh, we don't really need to coach. Everybody can get answers directly from this. So sometimes technological emergence like this can create the breakdown as it created in our business. So you can clearly see that we are in that space right now where we are talking to important people, Bruno Alabiso, Avi Batula, and so many old AI scientists, the new AI researchers and engineers. And we're talking with Chauncey Bell and the whole artwork community about what is possible with AI, what is possible with coaching. And I believe maybe in some later episodes, we will give our audiences update on what action we committed to do. And maybe once we commit to do an action, that's not like that will change the world. Maybe we will commit to an action and new breakdowns will show up, and we will go back again and declare breakdowns and discuss possibilities again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think?
Yeah. I think we are doing what we are asking people to do as well in our own work.
Yes.
And we are in the stage right now where we are talking about different possibilities of what we could do in our own business. So yeah. Yeah. And what comes to mind, just to like begin to wrap up, is two things. One that Maria, our coworker, loves. It's a line that you say that breakdowns are possibilities for breakthroughs.
Breakdowns are possibilities
breakdown,
for breakthroughs.
right?
Very
Yeah.
nice.
You say it and Maria loves it. And because now every single time that a breakdown happens, she sees it as a possibility for a breakthrough, not just as a breakdown, but she sees it as like, okay, this is a breakdown, but like we can have a breakthrough about it. And I think that's a great like mood to have when a breakdown happens, as opposed to, feeling resigned and overwhelmed and frustrated about it. And but like we have this mood about it because we have the confidence that we can deal with this breakdown powerfully because we know how to.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is really helpful, actually. And
Mm.
then another thing you say is that we should marry our breakdowns.
Yeah, some moments instead of running from breakdowns and running from, like, some people have this habit of going from job to job and startup to startup. I mean, I've done that. It's not some people. I have done that. One thing is not working, jump to another, jump to another, jump to another. But it wasn't up till I committed myself to this particular field of coaching and AI and doing something in this field that now I am beginning to have breakthrough. If you don't marry your breakdowns, if you keep on jumping around and keep on leaving, you will have no depth. You will keep the same habits of being trapped in psycho prisons, and you'll bring those habits with you everywhere. If you marry your breakdowns, you basically say, breakdown is you versus me, and I'm going to deal with it, and I'm going to belong. And marrying your breakdowns is really an invitation to belonging. What is beginning to be missing in this new dynamic era that is arriving, that there is no belonging. Everyone is trying to grab a little slice of comfort for themselves in their own personalized way, and there is no commitment, there is no belonging, and in no commitment, no belonging, there can be no potentiality. Once you marry your breakdowns, whether you see it at a national level or you see it at an enterprise level, as a startup level, important things that happen, they only happen once people commit to taking on their dissatisfactions. As a matter of fact, this is also the secret to innovation. You can only innovate once you have encountered a problem that is so frustrating, so disastrously, that you have no idea what to do. And everybody else is totally resigned that nothing could be done. A genuine entrepreneur takes on a problem like that, that everybody else is resigned about, but you see that something must be done and you don't know what to do. That's okay. You may not know right away what to do, but you encounter it and you marry your breakdown, and now you begin to have a breakthrough and a new possibility.
Yeah. I don't know what else. I think you nailed it, Sakib. I think you did an amazing job. I think my last question is for people that might be listening. What are some questions you could ask them, or like last comments you would say to them?
In another moment, we could also discuss that not all breakdowns are the same. Today, maybe what we want to leave you with this sensitivity that breakdowns are inevitable. Breakdowns are going to happen. The nature of life is that things will break, things will change. We human beings, we live in this storied existence in which we're constantly inventing and reinventing our satisfaction. Satisfaction is not something that is permanent and that is fixed. We're constantly encountering new satisfactions and new dissatisfactions. Before iPhone came out, if somebody did not have an iPhone, they didn't have a dissatisfaction. After iPhone came out, and today, if you don't have today's smartphone, maybe including Android and Samsungs and all that, if you don't have a smartphone, that could be like a dissatisfaction. So it's a quick example that we human beings are very good at inventing new dissatisfactions. And it's not a problem. That's just how it is. So dissatisfaction is inevitable. You fall in love with someone, you marry someone, you have a great marriage, and 2 years later, now it's very dissatisfying. That is bound to happen. You start an idea, you start your new startup, it's your lifelong passion and ambition. You got the funding, you got the team, and 2 years into it, you now have a new stuckness. Maybe 5 years into it, you now have a new dissatisfaction. So what I want to leave you with is that don't grudge the breakdowns, don't grudge your dissatisfaction, rather anticipate that breakdowns are going to show up. That's one thing I want to leave you with. Second thing, another day, we can explore a little bit that not all breakdowns are the same. There are many levels of breakdowns. There are some breakdowns that are related to our everyday life, like we go out and tire in the car is flat, and as it happens, recently I visited you in Vancouver, and by the time I arrived at your house, the tire was flat, and we spent rest of the trip trying to find the shop to fix the flat tire. That's one level of breakdown. Or the kind of breakdown that happens that now this generative AI technology has shown up. And I predict that this is going to disrupt old technologies, old computing infrastructure. Human beings have finally figured out how to talk to their computers. And that's going to create breakdowns across the board. So not all breakdowns are the same, and there might be nuances on how you might take on your daily breakdowns versus how you might take on the breakdowns created by some kind of a new technological emergence or environmental disturbance. Maybe another moment we can go deeper into that topic.
Yeah, I think people would be interested in that. I would be interested in that. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Very
thank
good.
you, Sakib.
That's it then. Thank you, Victoria.
Last comment I would like to say
Yeah, please.
is that for people that are listening, I would encourage them to take a look at places either in their work or in their relationships where they have been resigned to something or resentful about something, and to own your dissatisfaction, own it as your dissatisfaction, and to declare the breakdown and try this that we are sharing with you. And then if you need help or if something happens and you get stuck, talk to us, leave a comment in the comment section, or message me or Sakib directly, and we would be more than happy to help.
Oh, we would love it. That's what we do in this business here, huh? We take breakdowns and we turn them into breakthroughs. So breakdown is with your career, with your startup, with anywhere. Take it on fully, and if we could help, would be delighted.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. So thank you. And with that, we conclude episode 11 of the Altwork podcast, going from breakdowns to breakthroughs, dealing with dissatisfactions powerfully at work. Thank you, Sakib, for sharing your expertise and insights. And don't forget to tune in next time in the same place, the same time, for more Altwork conversations. I'm Victoria Relas, and this has been the Altwork podcast.
Thank you, Victoria. Bye-bye.
Bye.